Hi Janice, welcome. People are beginning to filter in, so we'll give it a few moments. Hey Sophie, nice to see you guys from Guernsey tuning in. The weather's come out lovely here. It looked like we might get a shower, so I had to come up with a plan B before, but I think we're going to be just fine outside. It's not a breath of wind. Should be, yeah, perfect conditions for a bit of wine tasting. I hear the weather's got a little bit better at home. Dan's joined. God, I bet he's feeling pretty smug at the moment on the sofa at home, watching me squirm away. And guys, don't wait for me to start the tasting. Normally when we are doing the tour, everybody sort of waits very patiently to have a taste. But I can't see you today, so help yourself. Go for it. You won't be in trouble. God, Rene, all the way from New Zealand. Fantastic. I guess Zach's with you as well. Anybody further away than New Zealand tuning into this? Oh, a bottle of El Tablero Tinto. That was well saved. Ooh, one glass down. Well, it's Saturday, isn't it? So why not? Wine in bed at 7 a.m. Stuart from Guernsey. Astrid. Hey, Astrid in Backio. I trust you and Chaber are drinking some Chakili at the moment. I will be on the next plane out of here to come and taste some of your delicious wines up there and surf some of your waves, I hope, once we're all out of this mess. Let's see. Hope you guys have all settled back in, up in the north of Spain there. This is all completely new to me. There's definitely the strangest wine tasting I've ever done. I'm sat outside on my own with 2 bottles of wine, thanks to Vega de Yuco, a couple of empty glasses at the moment, and talking to myself, which all seems very strange. But so far, so good. My brother's joined. He's already sent me a photo of 2 bottles of wine. He obviously didn't read the 2 glasses point and about drinking responsibly. Did you, Tobin? I'm waiting for a wine pun back, no doubt. So what's everybody drinking today? What whites and reds have you gone for? There's a few Lanzarote wines out there, so people have been carefully looking after them, putting them out of reach and out of sight, no doubt. They don't tend to last too long in my kitchen. So, okay, I think we should probably get this underway. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. It might be 15 minutes, might be half an hour. Let's see. There's a few more. Oh, French Malbec. Not sure what I think of it. So you've already started on the red, obviously. Oh, and Simon's joined as well. Simon couldn't even make a cup of tea when he joined my last job. I taught him how to make a decent cup of tea. And now he's obviously tuning in to learn how to taste some wine. Oh, good stuff, Astrid. 2 bottles of El Grifo open here in Ireland. Wow, well done. Margaret River Shiraz. Okay, guys, I'm going to get this underway, okay? So, yeah, welcome to everybody in these, I guess, unfortunate and uncertain times. It's been tough for everyone, I think. Well, for sure. Some more than others. I don't think much has been asked for most of us. It's a case of, doing as we're told. And trying to stay positive, learn new things, make the most of our time. I feel for the guys on the front line of the healthcare and all those volunteers that are jumping in. Hats off to them. But I guess for most of us, as I said, we've got more time on our hands. So we've got to use it positively, learn new things and all that sort of stuff. From our side, we've had to close down the business. We've been on lockdown now for 2 weeks. And it's been a complete lockdown, no exercise, just confined to barracks. And I was at the supermarket this morning and I got stopped by the police on the way home, and they're checking the car to make sure I had the shopping in the back, which I did. Everything's been taken very seriously. So we got another 2 weeks of this. Who knows what after that? The business obviously closed down for the time being, but we will be back for sure. So we just can't wait for this all to be over. We're all in this together. So we're behind everyone. So the idea of this, I guess, came about as we had more time on our hands, and we've all been learning more things, trying to do home fitness and stuff, and we were trying to think of ways that we could help the client base. Nieves the other day wrote a fantastic blog on food pairing. She's been doing her research at home, quite obviously. You'll find that on our website, on the more info and then the blog section. And it talks about, food and wine pairing. I, for one, I'm not a cook, but I have been spending more time in the kitchen. I even cooked a cake the other day, or baked a cake. I hope my mum was sat down when she heard that, or she would have probably fallen over. And it was edible. So we did that to try and, help people put a plan together. They can think about it more. And I, for one, have done that. No longer you're getting home at the end of the day and, grabbing the wine out of the fridge and, tucking straight into it. We can think about it a little bit more. And that's where the tasting came in, okay? We're going to explain today how to taste. Dan was really keen to get involved. Unfortunately, because of the lockdown, he can't. As I said earlier, I'm sure he's sat very happy at home now with a bottle of wine, feet up, and watching me squirm away. But hopefully we'll get Dan on one of these maybe next week. We'll see how this one goes. So we can start, okay? When we taste wine, we start with white first and then head on to the more intense reds, okay? And also we always start with the driest first and going on to the sweeter wines. It doesn't matter at all, actually, what wines you have for this. I've got 2 Lanzarote wines, of course. They're sat behind me at the moment, from a winery here called Vega de Yuco. I'm going to talk to you about Vega de Yuco halfway through the tasting, but we visit there. They're one of our favourite stops as well. So, without further ado, I think we can pour ourselves a wine, okay? And obviously the white we're going to start with. I have it in this beautiful blue coloured bottle. It's a Malvasia Volcanica, okay? Which is our local variety here on Lanzarote. You'll find lots of Malvasias all around the world. You'll find them in Greece, in Italy, in Madeira, and even plantations in the States now as well. But the only place you'll find Malvasia Volcanica is here on Lanzarote. And the Volcanica reference, or part of the name, refers to our soil here. All of the vines here, they grow completely unique. They grow in the soil which sits below the volcanic ash that ended up falling on the land in the 18th century during our volcanic eruptions here. Okay. And the name of this wine is Yaiza. It takes its name from a Aboriginal princess. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Vega de Yuco, the bottle, because I'm sure you're looking at it going thinking, wow, that's a bit different halfway through. But I think we should get down to the tasting. Okay. My wine, incidentally, okay, is a dry white. Malvasia is a very versatile grape. You'll find it on the island here, from the ranging from very dry all the way through to sweet dessert wines. Okay, and it was actually the sweet dessert wines that made the Canaries famous back in the day, in the 16th and 17th century. These were the wines to be seen to be drinking. Shakespeare wrote about them in his playwrights. The royalty would have been drinking them, and lots went back to the UK back in the day. But very little leaves the island now, incidentally. I'm going a bit off track, aren't I? So, okay, temperature first of all. White wine. If you read the textbooks, people will tell you that you should be drinking it between 6 and 10 degrees. But we always see our job as making wine accessible. We're not wine snobs or even connoisseurs. We just enjoy wine. For me personally, I like my dry whites, especially on a hot day, like we get in Lanzarote, straight out of the fridge. Okay, I love acidity in wine, and at cold temperatures, that acidity really sort of stands out, and it bites on the taste buds, which I love. If you don't like acidity so much, many people don't. Let the wine warm up. 7, 8 degrees, and see whether you get more fruity notes from that. It's a personal choice. So the first thing a wine taster will do is look at the colour of the wine. Okay, on the tour we've nicknamed the wine tasting the method in the madness, because you see wine tasters do lots of funny things with a glass of wine, and you think, what are they doing? Well, actually, there's some good reasons they do what they do. They can tell a lot from the wine, from the colour. So when you look at a white wine or a red wine, what you need is a white piece of paper or a white wall or anything white, basically, a tablecloth. And if you tilt the glass at 45 degrees against the piece of paper, you'll get a really good idea of the colour, okay? My wine here is very, very pale, and I can see that. And a pale white wine tells me that the wine is young, okay? Only a young wine is pale. A white wine goes darker as it ages, okay? But there might be other reasons why it's darker. It might be that it's been aged in oak, in which case some oxidations happen, some colouring's gone into the wine from the wood and and air, and it goes darker, okay? It might also be a sweet wine. Many sweet wines are very dark, like a gold or coppery colour. And the taster would look at the way that the wine would drain back into the glass. And if you see what we call legs or tears running down the side, it's a sign that there's higher sugar content in there. There's sugar suspended in the wine, okay? This has got less than 2 grams of sugar per litre, and I have no legs at all. But some of you might just see that in your wine, okay? So on to the next part, okay? We're going to give this a sniff to begin with, and we're going to pick up some of those aromas. I get lovely, fresh, tropical and citrus fruit in there. I get lemon, I get pineapple, I get some green apple in there as well, and it's super aromatic, which a Malvasia Volcanica should be, a fresh one. This is from 2019, okay? Our wine here, best drunk really within a year or so of the label. It keeps all of those aromas and tastes as fresh as possible, okay? The next thing, you can all give this a go, is give it a swirl, okay? And we say the best way to swirl is to pretend you're drawing a pencil on the table, a circle on the table with a pencil. And if you get it going round in a circle, it's the easiest way to do it. You can do it in your hand, but it is dangerous, especially with a red, okay, if you're not used to doing it. And if you're at home, sat on a cream sofa, I suggest you take care. And if you give that another smell after swirling it, you should find that those aromas are that much stronger. What you've done, okay, is opened up the wine. The evaporation rate has increased a touch, and it's taken all those aromas to your nose. So that's why people are you always see them swirling a glass. That's exactly why. And of course, your nose works in conjunction with your taste buds too. And then, I'm sure you've started already. The taste and the savour. So cheers to everyone. Health, and let's hope we're out of this situation very soon. Delicious. So make sure you give it a good swirl around your mouth. Cover all the taste buds and all across your tongue, and get the most of the flavour. For me, again, very much freshness, typical of a 2019 wine. Lots of fresh fruit in there, pineapple, lemon, in particular. Okay. Some of you might be getting some creaminess, some butter maybe, depending on some of the wines, if they've been aged in oak, for instance. This wine is completely fresh, okay? The grapes here were harvested in beginning of August, and the wine was produced using only steel, okay? So using only steel makes the wine, or keeps the wine very fruity, okay? As soon as you add oak to a wine, you're going to start, losing some of that fruitiness. So again, you'll be able to pick that up both on, when you come to sniff the wine, and also on the taste buds. It's very hard to pick up flavours in wine, okay? It's much easier when you have a little crib sheet, one of these. Some of you may have seen this before. We use this in home presentations that we do, but also we have sent it out to some of our clients. We've made it available on Facebook and Instagram and on Nieves's blog to help with tasting. So if anybody wants a copy, you can message us, okay, direct message, or preferably email info@winetourslanzarote.com, and I'll send you one. And you can sit down and with a glass of wine, with time, and then go through the different flavours. And when you see the flavours, it makes it much easier to pick out what you're tasting and what you're smelling. There's on the wheel we have a list of primary flavours here, which all come basically from the grape. We have a section of faults. Hopefully none of you smelt a wet dog when you were smelling your wine, or cat wee. That's not ideal either. At best, in that fault section, to smell soggy cardboard would be a result. But the grey area you certainly don't want to be smelling. There's also a section here for aging. Some of you may have an oak Chardonnay, for instance, and may have been picking out some of those notes there. Secondary as well, that would be through a different type of fermentation that I'm not going to go into, okay, just now. Right. While you're drinking your wine, I'll tell you a little bit more, okay, about the bottle here. So this is made by a winery on the island called Vega de Yuco. Some of you may have been there. I'm sure anybody that has come to Lanzarote has seen this bottle. You'll find it as many containing wine, but also as an ornament on many shelves. And Vega de Yuco, they've been producing wine since 1997 here on the island, but they introduced this bottle in the mid-2000s, and it revolutionised their winery. They're producing in excess of sort of 500,000 litres of wine in a good year on the island nowadays. This wine is made by the winemaker there called Thomas Messer, really interesting character. He's from Tenerife initially. We actually did a blog on him as well. You'll find that on our blog page. It gives you a little insight into sort of traditional and winemaking here in the Canary Islands, okay? The bottle here was introduced, as I said, in the mid-2000s, and it's gone on to revolutionise their winery. And there isn't much Lanzarote wine produced. The record harvest here was 4 million kilograms, and just I think it was 4 years ago, we had less than 700,000. Last year it was just over 2 million. This year we've had very, very little rain during the winter, and it's quite honestly probably going to be even less than that. But who knows? So you don't see much of this exported. In Lanzarote as a whole, about 10% finds itself overseas. So you really have to come here to enjoy the wines and the spectacular landscape that we've got here. So what they do have to do is make the wine stand out, and it's sort of caught on really. If you go to the other bodegas on the island, like Los Bermejo, El Grifo, Rubicon, Volcano, they've all introduced different bottles, and they really stand out on the shelf. It's a really good idea. On a Lanzarote bottle of wine, you will find this sticker here. It's a Cesar Manrique design. He was a very famous artist that sort of almost shaped Lanzarote. And this is a mark, a quality control mark. The winery is part of the local Denominacion de Origen. There's 19 wineries with the official designation here. And 5 have just joined in the last couple of years alone. So it is a really good place to be. The wines are incredible here, and which is lucky for us. Okay, so I hope that gives you a little bit of time to finish the white if you needed it. We can move on to the red. Okay, and I have a red here. Again, from Vega de Yuco, and it's from our native grape, which is called Listan Negro. Okay, incidentally, 10 to 15% of production on the island comes from this one red variety. It's our only red. We've got 5 varieties in total. Malvasia Volcanica, on the other hand, 70%. Okay, so it's the most highly produced by far. So my red is probably quite different to many of the reds that you're trying back home. I did see somebody before had a El Tablero red, which I was really happy to see, and it won't be too dissimilar to this one. But I guess when you're in Northern Europe, as many of you will be, you think of red wine, and for me, I think of the fire, I think of rain lashing on the windows, the wind blowing outside, and wanting something with body to warm you up. So many, I guess, will have Cabernets, Merlots, Shiraz or Syrah, Malbecs, for instance. But my wine here is a Listan Negro, and they tend to be quite different. Okay, it's a very dry wine. It's very low in tannin as well, which means that it doesn't age. So even this, I'll be drinking it tonight. But if I hadn't opened it, I would want to be drinking it within 2 or 3 years, really. And so it's drunk young, and it's light too, which means when it comes to temperature, it's often chilled on the island, anything 13 to 15 degrees, but it is very much a personal preference. You will go into some restaurants here, and it will come straight out the fridge, but it's up to you, and that should be the same with any wine that you drink. Okay. So when we look at this, again, there's things that we can tell. Whereas white, it goes darker with age. Okay, the opposite's true with red. Okay, it actually becomes lighter. So if we tilt this at 45 degrees against our white piece of paper, we should be able to get an idea from the age. Mine is sort of deep purple and violet all the way to the rim of the edge. It's from 2018, this wine, so that's completely what I would expect. Some of you maybe got some older wines, and as they age, they could take on a sort of a bricky, orangey, tawny colour, and maybe around the rim you see some opaqueness, or you see some of that sort of browny, orangey come out in the wine. Okay, so that's why it's taken that colour. When I give this a sniff, I pick out some red fruits. I get some of the darker fruits in there, maybe a bit of blackberry too, and I get I get the evidence of oak too. This one's been aged for 4 months in oak barrels. Okay, interesting. Many Lanzarote red wines they do have a smokiness to them, which is given by the volcanic terroir here, quite minerally. You could almost encapsulate them as sort of Lanzarote in a bottle. Okay, when you look out across the landscape and think of the wine. So many of you, yeah, you might have got some smokiness in some of those reds. I guess many of you have got oat reds. There are reds that aren't oaked as well, in which case you'll find more of a fruitiness. Okay, you should find the difference between the two in time, and with the help of a tasting wheel. Okay. The next thing as well is to give it a swirl, and you'll pick out those aromas even stronger, and then a taste. Okay, so again, cheers everyone. Cool, happy days. Really enjoy that, and I can't stress enough. I know many of you will have been on our tours and have drunk wines in Lanzarote and had their own experiences with red wines, but on the island, and not necessarily from here, because most of the wines you get served by the glass wouldn't be from Lanzarote. But we have a strong thing about promoting the red wines from the islands. All of the team love them, but they do have a tainted image even now. The style that they've been made is a bit lighter now to how they were going back sort of 15-20 years, and they are very unique and very expressive of our island and our viticulture and our landscape as well, and they are very tasty too. But even in some of the good restaurants on the island, we've had experiences where a waiter would talk you out of drinking them. And I'll give you an example. I did a presentation to 16 people at one of the top hotels on the island a few weeks ago, and I served them a Lanzarote red, and 15 out of the 16 people loved it. I got in the car, I went straight to a restaurant across the other side of the island half an hour later, still in my work shirt, and ordered a bottle of the same wine, and the waiter told me, no, you can't have that. And I said, excuse me. He was like, no, you want a wine from the mainland. So that happens time and time again here. We always say, don't listen to the waiter if you get that sort of response, and be, explore those local wines here, because they are very expressive. They are getting lots of really good feedback here, and anybody that knows wine wants a wine that gives them some expression of place and identity. Okay. So guys, I hope you're enjoying your red wine there. If you are at home with friends, well, you won't be necessarily with flatmates or family, send us a photo. Give us a tag, and it would be great to see how people have been enjoying their wines and what they've been up to doing this. Obviously, drink your wines responsibly tonight, especially you, Tobin. Keep in touch. We'd love to hear your feedback. Okay, let us know if you enjoyed this. And if you found it useful. We do have some time on our hands over the next couple of weeks, so there's other things that we can tell you about when it comes to the world of wine, not necessarily just about Lanzarote. We have a few other ideas, okay, and if people do want to hear them, then let us know, and we'll try and work something out between us here in the Wine Tours Lanzarote team, okay. So guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I can see lots of nice messages coming across the screen there. I will try and reply to some of them later on. I don't actually know what happens now when I end this. I've just seen social media dude flash up. Maybe he knows what will happen. It's a bit late for me to talk to him now, though, sadly. Let's see what happens. But keep in touch with us, and most importantly, stay well. Look after yourselves. We have to do as we're all told at the moment, and hopefully we'll be all out of this mess very, very soon. So take care, everyone. Cheers. Well, it wasn't that button. Oh, that'll be it, the one that says end.